Welcome, Grots and Gits. Welcome, one and all. Today, I am going to blow some minds. This is going to be very upsetting to the meta, and I can't wait to share this information with you. I have built this list, and I've been running it for maybe about a month and a half now, and it is unbelievable. The reason why I haven't revealed it to you until now is because I was keeping it in the bank for a backup WTC, which is World Team Championship team list. So I had it saved just in case my Custodes got nerfed right before the WTC was initiated. And I really desperately didn't want to release this list out into the wild because no one has done it. And I didn't want us to have to fight it at the WTC, so I kept it private. But now I'm revealing it to you, and I can't wait for all of you to start running it and bringing the true WoW to all of your opponents. It's crumpin' time, everybody. Let's get right into it. What is the list looking like? Well, basically what we're doing is we're resurrecting the Goth Pressure Snakebite list back from 9th edition. I want to crump. I'm tired of having to play orcs as like a board control and movement denial army. I want to crump my foes. This list is made to kill things, and it's made to not die. It's going to deny primary everywhere, and we are going to play some freaking orcs. So let's start the war. All right, what does the list contain? All right, so real fast, let's just talk about it. I'm resurrecting the Golf Pressure list, but this particular list is made with teams in mind. So what I also have is I have the individuals list for you as well. I'm going to go over the teams list and then the individuals. It's all in this video. You don't have to go anywhere. All right, so let's talk about it first off. What is the build of the list? We are running 4 Squig Bosses. That is 3 normal Squig Bosses and Mazrog Scragbad. These guys are all tanks. They're all T10, 9 wounds. They're going to have a 5-up invuln and a 4-up Feel No Pain. Mazrog will actually have a 4-up invuln and a 4-up Feel No Pain. These guys do not die, and they all can slap a bit. The first 2 Squig Bosses, their job is they're tanks, and they are army buffs, because they're going to be giving a 6-inch aura of reroll charges. So my entire army is going to get reroll charges, just like I did back in 9th. And I missed that. I missed rerolling charges. So now we've got 2 Squig Bosses that are army buffers, and they're both tanks. Because T10, 5-up invuln with a 4-up Feel No Pain is nothing to sneeze at. A lot of things cannot kill that. Not to mention, you always have the stratagem Arta's Nails for a -1 to be wounded. And then when you put a -1 to be wounded on a T10 model, it is disgustingly hard to kill. Then we've got 1 Squig Boss who's going to take the Ed Wappa's Kill Choppa enhancement, which is going to give him devastating wounds, which actually makes him slap and crush monsters and vehicles in front of him, while he's still the same tank and army buffer as the other 2. Then we run into Mazrog Scragbad. Mazrog's deal is this dude kills things. When he charges in, he kills things. They die, and he is unbelievably tough to kill. If you guys, I made a YouTube short on it. If you have 2 Helverins shooting him, they're going to deal 1 damage to him. If you have a full man of Eradicators shooting him in Melter range, they're going to deal about 3 to 4 damage to him. This guy doesn't die. He's a total tank, and he will slap your opponent dead. We're going to run two knobs on Smash a Squig. One of them is going to have Cunning But Brutal, and the other is going to have Follow Me Lads. These guys are killers, and they're utility pieces. Because remember, I use the word killer to denote a character leader that buffs his unit and makes them more killy. They're going to add +1 to hit to the Squig Hog unit. I'm running 2 6-mans, by the way, which makes them much more deadly. And at the same time, he's going to give them utility. The Cunning But Brutal is going to give them the ability to actually fall back and charge, which is something that is very useful in Squig Hogs, because these guys are so tough that they will survive clapback, which means in your next turn, you don't want them to be tied up. They will actually be able to make use of the fallback and charge, which is freaking awesome. The other one has Follow Me Lads to add +2 to the movement. And if you guys recall, Squig Hogs cannot have their movement modified, which means you can shoot all the freaking Thunderfire cannons you want. You can shoot Night Spinners into them. You can do whatever you want. I am still moving the same. The problem is that Night Spinners can actually make it so you just can't advance. That's not a modifier. It just means you can't advance. So we need something to still get us up the board, and that's what we're doing with these Follow Me Lads on the Squig Hogs. They are fast. 1 unit can very easily be dropped in for rapid ingress if you want, but you can also run them up the boards because these bad boys are T7 with a 4-up armor save. So against almost all shooting in the game, they're going to have a 5-up armor save because you're going to have cover. It's 10th edition, you're going to have cover. Then once you get to the 8th, then during the wall phase, they'll get that 5-up invuln in addition. But then they have a 5-up Feel No Pain. T7, 4-up armor, 5-up invuln in the wall phase, and always a 5-up Feel No Pain. These guys are tanks with 3 wounds each. It is very annoying. Your flat 3 damage is not good into them because they're going to save one of those with their 5-up Feel No Pain. So they are just very, very strong, very, very hard to kill, and they slaughter people in melee. Then we've got the Weird Boy. This dude is a master of secondaries, and he's a great plan B because he's just going to sit in your black lines all game long, and then towards the end of the game, you just have to get onto a secondary. So you teleport him, and you grab a secondary to score more primary, or you grab that capture enemy outpost late game. He is such a legend for only 55 points. You can't deep strike deny him because he's only a 40mm base, a single model. It's very easy to get him wherever you need him to go. Then as far as we go to battle line, we have 3 units of Beast Snaggers. These dudes are all for primary. And what happens is they're in their trucks. We have 3 trucks that are going to be used for primary, secondary, and screening. But the way it works is a Beast Snagger unit inside a truck is going to hold, it will hold an objective. Because you can have a lot of things that have a lot of death power, and they will kill the truck, but then they can't activate a second time. So if you kill the truck, the Beast Snaggers come out. You need another activation to then kill the Beast Snaggers. The likelihood of you being able to kill 3 trucks and 3 units of Beast Snaggers is almost 0 for any army in the game. So this makes it very, very easy to protect those Beast Snaggers, so you will be holding your primary. And then we've got the 2 units of Squig Hogs. We already spoke about them. These guys are damage dealers because they have that critical anti-monster vehicle 4-up, so it doesn't matter that their strength is a little bit low. They do get +1 to wound on the charge, so they'll be wounding all your marine equivalents on 2s on the charge. And they're also freaking tanks, dude, because they're hard to kill. They're T7. You can make them -1 to wound with a 4-up armor, 5-up Feel No Pain. Excellent. And then lastly, we have our 2 5-man Storm Boys. These guys are secondary masters. They just deep strike in, do whatever you need them to do. And then they're great for plan B because later in the game, sometimes you have to get across the board, and they keep advance and charge for later in the game where you only get it once during the wall phase for everyone else. So this is the teams list format, and it's awesome. I actually encourage you guys to use this in your individuals to see how it plays. It is amazing. The challenges with it is you don't have that many models, which is fair. It's an elite orcs list, but that's also a huge benefit because clock is never an issue. You're never going to have to worry about running out of time on the clock because it's very easy to maneuver these. This would not have worked in 10th edition because you would traffic jam yourself, but now this would never worked in 9th edition because you would have traffic jammed yourself, but now in 10th, you can just move your models through your own models. So you no more problem with traffic jam, especially with those Squig Hogs, who sometimes actually can be challenging to move up the board. Oh, and also, don't forget those Squig Hogs each have 2 bomb squigs. So once per game, they're just going to point at something and say, also take 2d3 mortals. Bye! In the movement phase. Very important. In the movement phase. Freaking awesome. I absolutely adore it, and I love it. Okay. So that's the teams list, and let's take a look at the individuals list. And just a big shout out real fast to my buddy Cooper. Felix, you guys have seen him on some of my live streams before. He's awesome. He actually really helped me build this individuals list. So just shout out to him. I'm going to drop a link to his channel in the description so that you guys can go check out some of his work. All right, how did we build this list for singles? Well, we did modify it a little bit. The number one thing that we did is we dropped one of the Squig bosses. So now we're only running 2 Squig bosses and Mozrok, so only 3 Squig bosses. And we actually dropped them and we replaced them with 2 beast bosses. Now these beast bosses are absolute killers because they're going to add +1 to hit to the Snaggas, and these guys are going to have that devastating wounds on the charge with their anti-monster vehicle 4-up. So what happens now is each one of those Snagga units is easily going to chew through an Armiger or a War Dog. No problem. That's very, very powerful. Then if you want to spend your 1 CP for Unbridled Carnage to explode on 5s instead of on 6s, suddenly that unit of Snaggas is also getting to reroll the hit rolls for the Beast Boss, so he's getting double explosions for his devastating wound attacks as well. These guys will take 16 wounds off of a Big Knight. That's crazy, just 1 unit of these dudes. So you will slaughter people with it. All right, cool. So then we drop to 1 normal Squig Boss. He's doing the same thing. He's an army buffer, he's a tank, and then 1 Squig Boss with the Edwappa Skill Chopper. Army buff, tank, damage dealer still. Then we have Mozrok Squig Drag Bad. He doesn't change. He's still a damage dealer, and he's a tank. We drop to 1 Noblins Master Squig. We'll keep Follow Me Lads on him. So he's going to make his unit of Squig Hogs really fast still. And then we actually are going to throw in a War Boss with Cunning But Brutal. So now this War Boss with Cunning But Brutal, he is going to be doing a lot of work. He is a damage dealer because he deals crazy damage, 9 attacks with the Power Claw in the Wa phase. He's a defender because he's going to buff his Knob unit, because I got a 10 man of Knobs with Power Claws running with them. They're always going to be -1 to wound, which frees you up to only have to spend your Arda's Nails 1 CP for another model. You never have to save it for the Knobs, which is really, really cool. And then he also is a killer because he's going to buff the Knobs' damage output. He's going to add +1 hit to them. When you use Unbridled Carnage on this unit, you're going to get something crazy like 48 Power Claw hits. It is shocking how powerful it is. So it is disgusting. And then since you put Cunning but Brutal on them, they're going to be able to fall back and charge. Your opponent's not going to be able to tag them to make you waste a turn, which is really important. Then we go to the Weird Boy. He's exactly the same, except for in this list, we have a bonus truck. So he gets to sit in a truck at the beginning of the game, which just gives you a few extra options. Then we have 2 units of Beast Snaggers. We did have to drop one of the unit of Beast Snaggers, but now both of these units are exceptionally killy with the addition of the Beast Bosses to them. Then we have 4 trucks. These trucks are doing secondaries, primaries, and they're screening like well. And they are just awesome delivery mechanisms. 2 of them go with the Beast Snaggers, obviously. 1 goes with the Knobs and the War Boss. And then 1 is starting with just the Weird Boy in it at the start, so it doesn't automatically die. We have our 10 Knobs, which we've already spoken about. And we've got the 6 Squig Hogs, which we already spoke about. And now we have 3x5 Storm Boys. And these guys are going to be hitting all the secondaries you need them to do. And once again, there's still that plan B to get across the table late game when you still need that advance and charge. These lists are amazing. You must try them. You are going to crump your foes, and they're not going to see what's coming because they're not ready for just how stinking tough these orcs are or how freaking hard they're hitting against everything. Everything. These guys kill, and they don't die. It is amazingly fun. I just got a few more things I want to say before I let everyone go for the day. So let's look at the math hammer because most of you nerds like math. Well, I'm a nerd, and I like math at least. Actually, speaking of nerds real fast, I am starting a new channel. It's going to be called Nerd Health, where I'm going to be going through the mathematics of fitness, weight loss, how to actually structure a correct diet, why you don't want to be taking certain over-the-counter medications. But I'm going to be explaining it from a mathematical perspective that is easy to understand, which is the key. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be a separate channel, though. All right, so this is just some damage profiles. Mazrog by himself, on average, I'm not talking about a spike. I'm not talking about using Unbridled Carnage. I'm not talking about using any CP rerolls. Just on average, bare bones. He's going to run in, and he's going to do 9.5 damage to any Armiger or War Dog, which is really freaking powerful. This also would apply to Big Knights as well. So just be aware, this is super freaking nice. The Squig Hog Boys. Without using their mounts and no leader, just by themselves, they're dealing 12 damage to an Armiger or War Dog. So they're killing an Armiger or War Dog by themselves. And then all the mounts and the Squig and the Smasher Knob, in addition to that, will kill another one. So they're killing 2 by themselves in a round. This is not including their shooting. This is not including their Squig Bombs, which by itself is going to deal another 6 to 8 wounds, which is just amazing. And then lastly, let's look at the damage output of the Squig Boss with Edwap's Kill Chopper. He's going to be dealing 7 damage with his Beast Chopper, and then an extra 3 damage with the Squig Jaws. This guy's going to be doing 10 damage by himself to an Armiger/War Dog class opponent. So you are going to kill everything. That would apply to things like Magnus. That would apply to things like Mortarion. That would apply to any monster vehicle in the game. It is freaking amazing. Last thing I want to talk about is I also want to show the mathematics of some of the toughness, some of the defensive stats we have. So just check this out, if you will. This is against Squig Hogs against a 5-man Custodian Guard squad. No buffs, no nothing. Actually, this is with a -1 to wound. This is with a -1 to wound. So your 5-man Custodian Guard squad, which is going to cost 225 points, so it's more than what the Squig Blob is. Not much, but so they're about equal, but it's more. They are, on average, only going to be killing 8.6 models. 8.6 damage. So that is 2 models on average. Occasionally, they might get 3, but they're also going to get 1 sometimes. This is awesome. They are going to whiff when they go into your Squig Hogs. It's just going to happen. And then your Squig Hogs, a 6-man of Squig Hogs, will absolutely wipe a 5-man Custodian Guard squad. That's assuming that you have the smash knob in there to add the +1 to hit, which is actually pretty important. So very, very strong. It's a great trade for you. And Custodes are one of the hardest matchups for orcs. These 2 lists that I just showed you actually mess Custodes up. Coming from me, who is a very competitive, high-level Custodes player, trust me, this is not what I want to see on the battlefield. I would be very scared. Very scared. Okay. Then let's look at how tough Mazrog is. You have that same 5-man Custodian Guard squad who is 25 or 30 points more expensive than Mazrog, by the way, and they're not even going to take them to half wounds. They're going to be dealing, on average, 4.8 more, wounds. And this is assuming they're spending CP to be +1 to wound, and Mazrog is spending a CP to be -1 to wound. So I just did it at neutral. So they're winning them on 5s. They're not going to kill Mazrog, and Mazrog, on average, is going to kill 3 or 4 of those Custodian Guards back. So it's an amazing trade. It is really powerful. These guys are tough. They're fast because they all get to reroll charges thanks to the squig bosses. This is unconventional. Everyone's going to look at you and they're going to say, hey, what the heck are you doing? 3 squig bosses? This is nasty, guys. The squig bosses don't die. They tie up your opponent for freaking ever. And everything else in your army is just smashing, smashing, smashing. This army does well into everything. You are still concerned about things like Chaos Knights, just because Melta 4 is scary. Eldar is still a problem, but you are running through people with this. You do get a little bit weaker into GSC here. It's just how it is, but you're going to be running through everything else. And honestly, it's not that much weaker into GSC because you still have the -1s and things. Just the Acolyte bombs are a little scarier now, which you can definitely still handle that. So a little weaker into GSC, but better into literally everything else. I love this list. You're going to love it as well. Crump, my friends, crump. If you love this content, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends because I put a lot of effort into these, and I'm trying to bring you guys really, really high-value stuff. So I love you, and I hope you appreciate it. And until next time, crump on, all my happy crumpers. Bye-bye.